Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Supergirl Season 6 review series. And today I am going to be talking about episode 14, Magical Thinking, which I have just finished watching. And this episode actually wasn't too bad. I thought this one was actually slightly better than the last episode, which was episode 13. And for me, once again, the highlight of this episode was the focus on the possibility of Lena Luthor having magical powers and being a witch. I thought this was actually very well done. And other than that, this episode didn't really have a lot going for it, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. So I'm going to give a quick recap of what's happened so far, then we're going to get straight into talking about episode 14. So Nixley is on a mission to obtain all three totems which make up this gauntlet. And we saw in the last episode that one of the totems was courage. So anytime Supergirl touched the courage totem, she would have a flashback of a moment or an event from her past, and there would be a moment where she would have to try and play out this event in a different way. And if she got the answer wrong, everybody would get this extra power boost of courage. And I didn't really enjoy that much. I felt that was a little bit silly, but the Lena Luthor possibly having powers was very interesting. I thought that was the one that held it all together. And also, William is now embedded with the Super Friends, so he's now going to cover the story about Supergirl and all of her friends and basically publish their story. So that side of the episode was interesting, but other than that, I felt episode 13 didn't really have a lot going for it. And as I mentioned in the last edition, that episode 13 was very 50-50. Some parts of it was good, some parts of it were not so good. But we learned that Supergirl and Nixley are connected to each other through a psychic link. So if Nixley is feeling sad, Supergirl would be able to feel it, or if Nixley was angry, she would feel it, and vice versa. So that was quite interesting to see that play out, and we kind of got to see a little bit more of that in episode 14. As I said, this episode, although wasn't perfect, I enjoyed this one slightly a bit more than the last one, as we're now heading towards the series finale of the show. So, with that all said, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 14, Magical Thinking. So, we see it's games night at Kara's place with everybody playing Jenga while they wait for Kara to arrive, as she's been struggling since losing the totem to Nixley. Lena suggests that she should have something helpful in her mother's book of spells, and Nia tells her it sounds like a lot of magic and her dream powers are very similar. Kara then tells Lena that William is going to be embedded with the Super Friends. Kelly also lets the team know that she has an appointment to check on one of the foster kids, and Kara starts laughing uncontrollably because Nixley is now happy. It turns out now there is another totem that has showed up in National City. Kelly checks in on Esme with her new foster family, and it's going pretty well, and we see Esme makes her a special bracelet. John Jones brings William to the tower and starts to show him around, and they tell him the ground rules. Do not reveal the tower location to anyone, don't reveal their secret identities or try to find out who they belong to. Run the stories by them before filling them, otherwise John Jones threatens to wipe their memory. And he actually will. So that was quite fun. Nixie's ship then shows up over the city, and it turns out that the totem is absurdly easy to obtain. Nixley just takes it from a fighter at a match and claims it, but when Supergirl shows up, Nixley spreads some sort of energy, causing everyone to start fighting. It's turned people depraved. The totem is humanity, and Nixley activates it has impacted a few hundred, making them gleeful to harm each other and cause chaos. Lena uses one of her spells in her mother's book that will let them track her. William asks with Supergirl, and he tells to the public what is going on and reports the situation with Nixley. Supergirl wants him, not because Nixley doesn't know that they have magic on their side. She then flies off, hearing someone crying out for help. However, Andrea is pressuring William to reveal everything now, and she's even hacked his computer. She tells him to come back with what she wants or nothing at all. Lena and Nia work on Lena's magic, specifically trying to get the spells to work, but it seems to have backfired as Nia now doesn't know her own directions. Supergirl is suddenly overwhelmed with another of Nixley's feelings, this time compassion. On Mitch's ship, Nixley suddenly seems to have a ton of compassion for Mitch. She's excited, thinking that things may be very easy going forward. They get a clue as to where the next totem will be, and it turns out that the totem is in the Netherlands. William visits Lena and she explains that she's trying to do with her mother's spell book. He compares it to her family recipe book, and Lena explains that even with following the directions, she still broke Dreamer's mind. William tells her an anecdote about his own life and how he realised that he was too technical when he tried to recreate his father's recipe, and that he started to trust himself, and that's when things began to work. Lena figures out that she needs a specific ingredient for a spell that's at the botanical garden. Supergirl has to take her there, and William says he is going to. In National City, things continue to get out of hand. Esme is worried about it, but her foster mum tells her not to worry. As they walk into their house, they're attacked by a man who can blow fire, and Esme responds by blowing fire back at him. It stuns her as well as her foster mother. At the botanical garden, Lena gets what she needs while William and Supergirl guard her and other innocents. Meanwhile, in the Netherlands, Nixley goes for the next totem and Lena's spell kicks in just as Nixley goes to kill the guard, forcing Nixley to suddenly not be able to kill him, but also causing a woman impacted by depravity in National City as it starts to get worse. It turns out the spell actually amplifies the potency rather than works as a beacon. Nixley starts to realize that the humanity totem itself is the test and that she has all of the compassion and empathy of the people in the blast radius. Mitch suggests that there has to be a way to get the hope totem without hurting anyone, so they keep going forward. Supergirl is also feeling those feelings as she's now aware of the humanity totem's unusual gauntlet. Supergirl thinks that if they overwhelm Nixie by using Lena's spell again, it would end everything, but Lena won't do it as she sees unleashing that much depravity is wrong. Lena tells Supergirl that Nixie reminds her of Lex and that Supergirl will defeat her too. Lena refuses to cause pain with her magic or deceit, so Supergirl's plan just isn't it, but she comes round to the idea of it. Lena is going to amplify the totem's power, and William is going to write about it with full transparency. Interesting. Lena starts her spell, and things definitely get worse in National City, but the Super Friends work around the city to keep people safe. Nixley gets even more overwhelmed and tries to concentrate on getting the next totem, but struggles as she cares too much and heads back to National City to give people back their humanity. At Esme's house, her foster mother keeps her locked out and insists that she's protecting the family with her fire breathing, despite the little girl not understanding it. Fortunately for her, Guardian and Sentinel show up to save her. Nixie returns to National City and releases everyone's humanity. We then see people are restored to normal, but Nixie loses the totem. Supergirl retrieves the totem and Nixie has Mitch fly the ship out of there rather than deal with her. With enough particles left to track one totem, the Super Friends decide to track the Dream Totem as Dreamer might be able to help with that. At Catco, we see Andrea is pleased with William's article but wants him to reveal the personal information as well as the location of the Super Friends Tower. William says no and that he will write his stories his way, and if she doesn't like it, he will sell them to the Daily Planet. Nice. Good for William. Kelly goes to see Esme, who is being moved from the foster home. The family doesn't want her now, but she has powers. Esme doesn't think she will ever have a real home. Kelly and Alex look at each other knowingly before taking Esme's hand, so it looks like they've actually adopted her. In space, Mitch and Nixie recoup and plan their next move. And that's how we end episode 14. As I said at the beginning, although this episode wasn't perfect, I actually enjoyed this one a little bit more than the last one, and I would probably say this one was slightly better than episode 13. But above all else, I'm interested to see how Lena's powers are going to develop, and I've been hearing stories about Lex Luthor and Nixley possibly hooking up, so that could be very interesting. Be very interested to see how that's going to play out if and when that does actually take place. But other than that, I thought this episode wasn't too bad. Not perfect, but a bit more enjoyable. I'll just leave it at that. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 14? Did you enjoy it? And also, what did you think of William actually being embedded with the Super Friends? Do you think he will eventually learn their secret identities? And if so, do you think he could be a full time part of the team? And also, what's your thoughts on these totems? What do you think could happen if Nixley had all three totems combined? Do you think something catastrophic could happen? And also, what do you think about William actually, standing up for himself against Andrea? Do you think maybe he's turned the corner in his own character and maybe we might see a different side to him? And also, what's your thoughts on Lena with the Book of Spells? Do you think there's a twist to this? And also, do you think her having powers could be a valuable asset to Supergirl and her friends? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. And I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Supergirl Season 6 review series, where I am going to be talking about episode 15. So, should be a good one, and I'm interested to see how things are going to play out from here. So, until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, thanks for listening.